sunshine, everyone. I am Rafa Jane Lagumbay Ubanan together with Aiko, Balanay, Gabriel Lopez, and Salud. Today, I will be discussing about mapping the constellation. But first, let us know our learning objectives. First, identify and categorize constellations based on their characteristics, whether they are circumpolar, zodiacal, and seasonal. Second is utilize traditional and modern tools like pantograph and stellarium software to effectively map constellation using angular distance techniques. And lastly, demonstrate the practical applications of constellation mapping in historical or cultural contexts, astronomical research, navigation, and educational outreach. Now, I have a question. What are constellations? Constellation is a group of stars that appear to form a pattern or shape in the night sky when viewed from Earth. These patterns are often named after mythological characters, people, animals, or objects. The International Astronomical Union, or IAU, officially recognizes 88 constellations. These constellations cover the entire celestial sphere, meaning that every star in the sky belongs to one of these 88 groups. I have another question. What are the three types of constellation? The three types of constellation are circumpolar, zodiacal, and seasonal. Well, let's dig deeper about it. First is the circumpolar constellation. But what is circumpolar? Circumpolar comes from the Latin word circum, which means around, and polaris, which means of the pole. Therefore, it is around of the pole or around the pole. Circumpolar is a constellation appear to circle around one of the celestial poles, whether in the north or south. While circumpolar constellation is a constellation that never sets below the horizon as seen from a specific location on Earth. This means that these constellations are visible throughout the year from that location. The reason why some constellations are circumpolar is because they are located around the celestial poles, either the north or the south pole. As the Earth rotates, these constellations appear to circle around the pole, never dipping below the horizon. As you can see on the screen, we have circumpolar constellation from northern and southern hemisphere. From northern hemisphere, we have Cassiopeia, the queen, Cephus, the king, Drago, the dragon, Ursa Major, great bear, and lastly, the Ursa Minor, or the little bear. And we also have from southern hemisphere, we have Carina, the keel, Centaurus, the centaur, Crux, the southern cross. Well, let's get to know each of them. Let's start from the northern hemisphere. First, we have the Cassiopeia, also known as the Queen, is a constellation named after the Queen Cassiopeia from Greek mythology because of her vanity. She boasted that she and her daughter Andromeda were more beautiful than the Nereids or the sea nymphs. This angered Poseidon, the god of the sea, who punished Cassiopeia by placing her in the sky, forever condemned to circle the celestial pole. It's easily recognizable by its distinctive W or M, depends on the location, and this shape formed by five bright stars. Cassiopeia is a large constellation covering 598 square degrees of the sky. It's the 25th largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the northern hemisphere. The best time to view Cassiopeia is during the month of November. It is part of the Perseus constellation family, which means it's located near the constellation Perseus in the sky. Cassiopeia is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the northern hemisphere. This is because it's located near the North Star, and as the Earth rotates, Cassiopeia appears to circle around the celestial pole. The brightest star in Cassiopeia is Alpha Cassiopeiae, also known as Shadar. It's a red giant star about 230 times larger than our Sun. It's located at the lower right corner of the W shape. Second, we have the Cepheus, also known as the King, is a constellation named after King Cepheus of Ethiopia from Greek mythology because he was the husband of Queen Cassiopeia, who was also placed in the sky as a constellation. They are often depicted together in the night sky, showcasing their connection in mythology. The Cepheus constellation is often described as resembling a house. It's formed by eight-sided pattern of stars. Cepheus is a large constellation covering 588 square degrees of the sky. It's the 27th largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the northern hemisphere. The best time to view Cepheus is during the month of October. It is part of the Perseus constellation family, which means it's located near the constellation Perseus in the sky. And Cepheus is a circumpolar constellation, which means it's visible year-round from the northern hemisphere. And the brightest star in the Cepheus constellation is Aldebaran, also known as Alpha Cephei. It has an apparent magnitude of 2.45, making it the most visible star in the constellation. The third is the Draco, also known as the Dragon, is a constellation named after the Latin word Draco, meaning dragon, because its shape resembles a long, winding dragon in the sky. The ancient Greeks and Romans saw these patterns of stars and named it after the mythical creature. Again, its shape is like a long, winding dragon formed by 14 stars, making it one of the largest and most prominent constellation in the northern sky. Draco is a large constellation covering 1,083 square degrees of the sky. It's the 8th largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the northern hemisphere. The best time to view Draco is during the month of July. It is part of the Ursa Major constellation family, which means it's located near the constellation Ursa Major in the sky. Draco is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the northern hemisphere. The brightest star in Draco is Tuban, also known as Alpha Draconis. It's a white subgiant star located at the dragon's tail. The fourth is the Ursa Major, also known as the Great Bear or Big Dipper, is a constellation named after the Latin phrase Ursa Major, meaning greater bear. It's shaped like a bear formed by 19 stars. The name Great Bear comes from the constellation shape, which resembles a bear with a long tail. The Greeks and Romans saw these patterns of stars and named it after the mythical creature. The constellation is also known as the Big Dipper because its seven brightest stars form a distinctive dipper shape. This dipper shape is often used to locate Polaris or the North Star, which is located near the end of the dipper's handle. Ursa Major is a large constellation covering 1,280 square degrees of the sky. It's the third largest constellation in the sky and it's located in the northern hemisphere. The best time to view Ursa Major is during the month of April, and it is part of the Ursa Major constellation family, which means it's located near the constellation Ursa Major in the sky. Ursa Major is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the northern hemisphere. This is because it's located near the North Star or Polaris, and as the Earth rotates, Ursa Major appears to circle around the celestial pole. The brightest star in Ursa Major is Dove, also known as Alpha Ursae Majoris. It's a giant star about 120 times brighter than the Sun. It's located at the end of the Dipper's handle. The last is the Ursa Minor, also known as the Little Bear or Little Dipper, is a constellation named after the Latin phrase Ursa Minor, meaning little bear. It's shaped like a smaller dipper or ladle or scoop formed by seven stars, making it a smaller and less prominent constellation compared to its larger counterpart, which is the Ursa Major. The name Little Bear comes from the constellation's shape, which resembles a smaller bear with a long tail. The Greeks and Romans saw these patterns of stars and named it after the mythical creature. The constellation is also known as the Little Dipper because its seven brightest stars form a distinctive dipper shape just like the Ursa Major. Ursa Minor is a smaller constellation covering 256 square degrees of the sky. It's the 56th largest constellation in the sky and it's located in the northern hemisphere. The best time to view Ursa Minor is during the month of June, and it is part of the Ursa Major constellation family, which means it's located near the constellation Ursa Major in the sky. Ursa Minor is circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the northern hemisphere. And the brightest star in Ursa Minor is Polaris, also known as Alpha Ursae Minoris. It's a yellow supergiant star about 2,500 times brighter than the Sun, and it's located at the end of the Dipper's handle and is also known as the North Star. Now, let's move to the southern hemisphere. First, we have Carina, also known as the Keel, is a constellation named after the Greek mythology. It represents the keel of the ship Argonavis, a legendary ship from Greek mythology. The constellation was originally part of a much larger constellation called Argonavis, which represented the ship that Jason and Argonauts sailed on their quest for the Golden Fleece. However, the constellation Argonavis was too large and was eventually divided into three smaller constellations, which is first the Carina or the keel, second is Puppis or the stern, and Vela, which is the sails. The constellation doesn't have a defined shape, but it does contain a prominent asterism called the Diamond Cross, formed by four bright stars. Carina is a large constellation covering 494 square degrees of the sky. It's the 34th largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the southern hemisphere. The best time to view Carina is during the month of March. It is part of the Heavenly Water constellation family. Carina is a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the southern hemisphere. The bright star in Carina is Canopus, also known as Alpha Carinae. It's a white supergiant star about 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Canopus is the second brightest star in the night sky after Sirius. The constellation Carina is also home to some of the most spectacular objects in the night sky, including the Carina Nebula, a giant cloud of gas and dust where stars are born. The second is the Centaurus, also known as the Centaur, is a constellation named after the Greek mythology, specifically the story of Chiron. The constellation represents a centaur, a mythical creature that is half human and half horse. The centaur is Centaurus is believed to be Chiron, a wise and benevolent centaur who was known for his knowledge of medicine and astronomy. He was the tutor of many heroes, including Achilles and Asclepius. The constellation has a distinctive shape that resembles a centaur with a human torso and a head and a horse body. There's a prominent asterism within the constellation called Southern Pointers, which are two bright stars that point towards the south celestial pole. Centaurus is a large constellation covering 1,060 square degrees of the sky. It's the ninth largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the southern hemisphere. The best time to view Centaurus is during the month of May. It is part of the Hercules constellation family. Centaurus is still a circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the southern hemisphere. The brightest star in Centaurus is Alpha Centauri, also known as Regal Centaurus. It's a triple star system with the two brightest stars being similar in size and brightness to the sun. Alpha Centauri is the third brightest star in the night sky after Sirius and Canopus. The constellation Centaurus is also home to some of the most spectacular objects in the night sky, including the Omega Centauri, a globular cluster that contains millions of stars. The last one is the Crux. Also known as the Southern Cross, is a constellation named after the Latin word crux, meaning cross. The constellation is easily recognizable because it forms a distinctive cross shape in the sky. This cross shape is actually an asterism, a prominent pattern of stars within a constellation. For many cultures in the southern hemisphere, it's a significant symbol representing fate, hope, and guidance. Crux is a large constellation covering 68 square degrees of the sky. It's the 88th largest constellation in the sky, and it's located in the southern hemisphere. The best time to view it is during the month of May, and it is part of the Hercules constellation family. Still, Crux is circumpolar constellation, meaning it's visible year-round from the southern hemisphere. And the brightest star in Crux is a Crux, also known as Alpha Crucis. It is a blue giant star about 250 times brighter than the sun. A Crux is the 13th brightest star in the night sky. The Southern Cross is a prominent symbol in the southern hemisphere and is often used to find the south celestial pole. The two stars that form the longer axis of the cross point towards the south celestial pole. Always remember that circumpolar constellations are those that are visible year-round from a given latitude because they are located near the celestial pole, either in the north or the south. They appear to circle around the pole as the Earth rotates. I hope you learn about circumpolar constellation.
Okay, so next we have the zodiacal constellations. So these constellations that lie along the plane of the ecliptic, which is the apparent path of the sun across the sky as seen from Earth. So it has 12 zodiacal constellations, and they correspond to the 12 signs of the zodiac. And also in astronomy, the zodiac is the band of the sky along which paths of the sun, the moon, and the planets appear to move. So what are these 12 zodiacal constellations? Let's find out. So first, we have the Aries or the ram, Taurus or the bull, Gemini, which is the twins, Cancer or the crab, Leo or the lion, Virgo or the maiden, Libra or the scales, Scorpio or the scorpions, Sagittarius or the archer. 10th, we have the Capricorn or the sea goat. 11th is the Aquarius or the water bearer. And lastly, we have Pisces or the fishes. First, we have Aries or the ram, depicted as a ram with its head turned back towards Taurus, and the three brightest stars form a curved line representing the ram's head, as what you can see in the illustration. So this is located in the northern celestial hemisphere between Pisces to the west and Taurus to the east. The name Aries is Latin for ram, and also this has an area of 441 square degrees with the size of 39th largest constellation, and its best viewing month is on December. Constellation family, of course, zodiac, and the type of constellation is zodiacal. Second is Taurus, that is depicted as a bull's head. So it has two horns formed by a V shape of stars and a bright star representing the eye. Taurus the bull is one of the most well-known and noticeable constellations in the sky over Earth. It is having a square degrees of 797 with the size of 17th largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere with its best viewing month on January. Third is the Gemini, aka the twins, depicted as a two-stick figures, as what you can see in the illustration, holding hands with castor and polos representing their heads, having the area of 541 square degrees. Size is 30th largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere that you can see in its best viewing month on February. Next, we have Cancer, aka the crab, depicted as a crab with its two brightest stars, Achelous borealis and Achelous australis, representing its eyes. So, in Greek mythology, Cancer is identified with a crab that appeared with Heracles' thought and many-headed Lernin hydra. So, it has a 506 square degrees as an area, 31st largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere again, and its best viewing month is on March. With a type of constellation zodiacal, with a constellation family of zodiac. Next is Leo or the lion, depicted as a crouching lion with its head and shoulders forming an asterism known as the sickle, resembling a backwards question mark with 947 degrees, 12th largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere. Also, to the ancient Greeks and Romans, the constellation represented the Nemean lion, which is best viewing month is on April. Next, we have Virgo or the maiden, depicted as a maiden with its brightest star, Spica, representing her ear of wheat, with an area of 1,294 square degrees, depicted as second largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere. Its name is Latin for maiden, and its old astronomical symbol is. Also, its best viewing month is on May, with a family of zodiac in constellation, and the type of constellation is zodiacal. Next, we have Libra the scales. It is depicted as a set of scales with its four brightest stars forming a quadrangle. Its area has 538 square degrees, 29th largest constellation found in the southern hemisphere. Also, its name is Latin for weighing scales, and it is fairly faint with no first magnitude stars and lies between Virgo to the west and Scorpios to the east, with the best viewing month on June. So next we have the Scorpio, which is depicted as a scorpion by its distinctive S shape representing the scorpion's curled tail and stinger. Also, Scorpios is a constellation known for its belt-shaped area of the night sky that the sun, moon, and planets appear to pass through. It is one of the brightest constellations in the sky. Sagittarius or the archer, which is depicted as a centaur drawing a bow with its brightest stars forming a recognizable teapot asterism. It is 800 67 square degrees as its area, 15th largest constellation found in the southern hemisphere, with the best viewing month in the month of August. Capricorn, depicted as a sea goat with its stars forming a somewhat irregular triangle, having a 414 square degrees as an area, 40th largest constellation found in the southern hemisphere, with the best viewing month is on September. Constellation family is zodiac, and the type of constellation is, of course, we are talking about zodiacal. Aquarius, depicted as a young man pouring water from a jar with its stars forming a somewhat irregular shape, often described as a stream of water flowing from a jar, or called the water bearer, with an area of 980 square degrees, and the 10th largest constellation found in the southern hemisphere, with the best viewing month is on October. And last but not the least, Pisces, aka the fishes, depicted as the two fish tied together by a cord, with its stars forming a large V-shaped region in the sky, having an 889 square degrees as an area, 14th largest constellation found in the northern hemisphere, with the best viewing month is on November. Again, the constellation family is zodiac, and the type of constellation is zodiacal.
Seasonal constellation refers to the constellation that are visible in the sky during a particular seasons. So we have 4 seasons: the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. But here in the Philippines, we have 2 seasons only. We have the spring, summer, and summer. For the seasonal constellation, we have the northern and southern hemisphere. For the northern hemisphere, for the spring, we have Boots and the Corona Borealis. For the summer, we have Aquila and the Cygnus. For the autumn, we have the Andromeda and the Pegasus. And for the winter, we have the Auriga and the Orion. And also, for the southern hemisphere, for the spring, we have Gross and Phoenix. For the summer, we have the Hydrus and Puppis, and for the autumn, we have Curvus and Octans, and for the winter, we have the Aegis and Pavo. So let's proceed to the northern hemisphere. For the spring, let's have the Boots or the herdsman. It is a shape like kite or as ice cream cone. It is a bright orange star that represents a herdsman or a plowman in a Greek mythology. It is near the Big Dipper in the northern sky. For the Corona Borealis, it is a semicircle of stars resembling a crown. It is a bright white star, represents the crown of Adrian from the Greek mythology, and it is located between Booth and Hercules. For the summer, we have the Aquila or the eagle. It resembles an eagle in a flight with its wings spread. It is a part of the summer triangle star and represents the eagle that carried Zeus in the thunderbolts in a Greek mythology. It is lies along the Milky Way, visible in the northern summer sky. So let's proceed to the Cygnus or the swan. It is a shape like cross or a flying swan. It is one of the summer triangle star and represents a swan often associated as Zeus or the myth Orpheus. It is located along the Milky Way near Aquila. So, for the autumn, we have the Andromeda or the Chained Maiden. It is a V-shaped constellation contains an Andromeda galaxy, that closest spiral galaxy to the Milky Way. It represents the Princess Andromeda chained to a rock as a sacrifice to a sea monster. So, for the Pegasus or the winged horse, it features the Great Square of Pegasus, a large square at asterism. It represents the winged horse as Pegasus, born from the blood of Medusa. So for the winter, we have the Auriga. It is the caryoter, pentagonal in shape, resembling a caryoter holding rings. It is a golden star and the 6th brightest in the night sky. It represents a caryoter or shepherd in a Greek mythology. So for the Orion, it is a distinct feature with a belt of three bright stars and a sword below. It represents a hunter from a Greek mythology, often associated with Artemis. So for the southern hemisphere, we have the grass or the crane. It resembles a crane bird with an elongated neck. It represents the crane bird, often associated with grace and vigilance. For the phoenix, it is a shape-like bird flight, a bright orange star, and represents a mythical bird that rises from its ashes. So for the summer, we have the Hydrus or the male water snake. It is a small, faint snake-like constellation and represents a water snake but distinct from Hydra. And for the Papis, or the stern of the ship, it is a part of a larger ship constellation Argos Navis and represents a stern of Jason's ship, the Ergo. So we have the Autumn, the Curvus, the Crown. It is a small quadrilateral constellation and represents a crow from a Greek myth, often tied with Apollo. And for the octants, it is a prominent star that contains the celestial pole, represents the octant. So let's proceed for the winter. We have the Apus, or the bird of paradise, a faint constellation with no bright star. It represents an exotic bird of paradise named European explorers. For the Pablo, or the peacock, resembles as a peacock with a fan-like tail. It represents a peacock resembles tied to a Hera's sacred bird. All in all, we have 88 constellations. These are the 88 constellation at its brightest stars.
Good day, everyone. I am Ira Shane Balanay, and I will be discussing the tools and software for constellation mapping. Let's tackle first the traditional tool. So first is the pantograph. So what is pantograph? Pantograph is a mechanical tool usually made of four connected bars that allows you to copy a drawing and resize it without distortion. So, how do we use pantograph for constellation? First is to identify the stars. So, locate the stars that make up the constellation you want to draw. Use a star map or star chart to pinpoint their positions in the night sky. Second is to measure distances. So, measure the distances between the stars in the constellation. This can be done with a ruler or by using scale reference from your star chart. So, the third one is to measure their angles. Measure the angles between the stars in the constellation, which helps establish the relative positions and orientation of the stars. Fourth is to set up the pantograph. Set up your pantograph, a mechanical device that allows you to trace an image at the different scales. So, attach your reference, star chart, or constellation map to one side of the pantograph. So the last one is to trace and draw. Use the pantograph to trace the position of and angles of the stars. The pantograph will scale the drawings according to your settings. The tracing arms moves in such way that a pencil on the other side of the pantograph draws a scaled version of the constellation. So, this process allows you to accurately reproduce a constellation shapes and size on a different scale, useful for stars charts, educational purpose, or artistic representations. So, next is the importance of using a pantograph for constellation map. So, here are several reasons by using a pantograph for constellation. First is the accuracy. The pantographs allows for precise replication of the positions of the stars and the angles between them. So, by using exact measurements for distances and angles, you can create an accurate scaled representation of a constellation, which is crucial for both educational and scientific purposes. Second one is for scaling. One of the main advantages of using a pantograph is the ability to scale the constellation up or down. This is especially useful when creating star charts, illustrations, or models that need to fit specific sizes or proportions. Whether you're enlarging a small constellation for clarity or shrinking a large one for compactness. So the third one is the visual understanding. Mapping constellation with a pantograph helps enhance visual comprehension for their structure. by using the stars and their relationships in different scales. You can better understand that the spatial arrangement of the stars in the sky. It provides a clearer, tangible representation of the constellation layout, making it easier to grasp the concept of celestial navigation and the night sky geometry. The next one is the modern software, the Stellarium. Stellarium is a free open source star mapping software available at www.stellarium.org. It allows users to explore the night sky by simulating real-time star maps, making it a valuable tool for both amateur astronomers and educators. It shows the star maps for any night of the year, also location flexibility, and to track constellations movement. First is how to use the Stellarium for constellations. First is to download and install. So let's visit the Stellarium website and download the software for your operating system. So next one is the set your location and adjust the time. After installation, open the program and input your location. This ensures the star maps are accurate for your geographic area. Second is to adjust the time by selecting the date and the time you want to explore. Also, you can fast forward or rewind the time to see how constellations move across the sky at the different times of the night or year. The third one is to explore the constellation. So, by the use is to interface to navigate through the sky. You can zoom in or zoom out or drag the sky view to focus on a specific constellation. Also, Stellarium lets you to explore the stars, planets, and also the deep sky objects within any given view of the night sky. So the fourth one is turn on the constellation lines and labels to make it easier to identify the constellation. So you can activate constellation lines and labels. So this shows the shapes formed by the stars of the constellation and label the stars and constellation with their names, helping to visualize their structure and layout. So the fifth one is to learn about the constellation. Stellarium offers detailed information on the constellation, including mythological backgrounds, star names, and histories. Clicking on any constellation or stars will provide you with a wealth of information, deepening your also understanding of each constellation, significance, and also their composition. So, what are the importance of using Stellarium for constellation mapping? First is for accessibility. Stellarium is free and easy to download, making it accessible to anyone interested in astronomy. Regardless of their experience level, it also provides a high quality, interactive way to explore the night sky without any needing expensive equipment or access to a telescope. The second one is the education. Stellarium is a powerful educational tool helping both students and teachers to visualize and better understanding the movements of stars and constellations. It brings astronomy concepts to life, allowing users to see how the sky changes across seasons and location. So it can be also used in classroom or for self-study, fostering a deeper learning about the cosmos. The third one is the exploration. With Stellarium, you can explore the night sky from anywhere on the Earth and at any point in time. This allows user to investigate different constellation, stars, and celestial events. It's a great tool for planning stargazing sessions as well as for simply exploring the learning for more about universe from your own home. Also, in addition, Stellarium enhances the ability to learn about and also explore constellation with its accurate interactive sky maps and educational features make it an essential tools for anyone interested in astronomy. Then, the mapping technique. For mapping technique is the angular distance. Angular distance refers to the apparent separations between two celestial objects in the sky, measured in degrees. It is not the physical distance between the object, which could be a vast and measured in light years, but how far apart they appear when viewed from Earth. Angular distance helps astronomers, stargazers, and navigators to determine the relationships between celestial bodies from our perspective on the ground. So, how do we use angular distance? First is the arm length measure. A simple method to estimate angular distance is by holding your arm in the front of you. When your hand open, the width of your little finger roughly represents 1 degree of angular distance. This provides a rough but effective way to gauge how far apart two stars or objects are in the sky. For example, if the two stars appear to be about the width of your pinky apart, they are approximately 1 degree apart. So, the second one is the ruler and constellation map. For more accuracy, use a printed star map along with a ruler. First, First is to measure the distance between the two objects on the map, typically in centimeters. Since the star have a scale, you can use the ruler to find the actual angular distance between the stars based on the scale provided on the map. So 1 centimeter on the map might represent 10 degrees in the sky. The third one is converting to degrees. If you're using map or online tool that provides angular distance in units other than degrees, you may need to convert these measurements. For example, 1 degree is equal to 60 arc, arc minutes, and 1 arc minute is equal to 60 arc seconds. So, use simple conversions to express the angular separation in degrees. Then, the importance of angular distance for constellation mapping. First is the accuracy. Angular distance help ensure precise mapping of constellation. Knowing the angular separation between stars allows for accurate plotting of constellation in the sky. This is important for stars charts, navigation, and also understanding how stars relate on one another, especially from the vantage point of the Earth. Second one is its identification. When identifying constellation, angular distance is the key to recognizing patterns and differentiating between groups of stars. If you know the angular distance between stars and in a constellation, you can use this information to verify the location of a particular constellation. Uh, so, in other, I mean, in Addition, angular distance is a crucial measurement for accurately mapping and also identifying constellation, offering both practical and theoretical insights into how celestial objects appear in relation to each others in the sky. So the next is the application of constellation mapping education will be presented by Bianca Aiko.
So, application of constellation mapping. In historical and cultural significance, constellation mapping reflects how people in the past understood the night sky and used it for different things, like telling stories and creating calendars. An example of this is the ancient Egyptians carved star maps into tombs and indicates their significance and importance. The constellation of Orion was linked to Osiris, the god of afterlife, which is commonly found at burial sites. So in astronomical research, scientists use constellation maps to study stars, galaxy, and other space celestial objects. An example of this is astronomers use constellation to locate and study distant galaxies and other celestial phenomena. So in navigation, constellation can help people find their way, especially when they're lost or at the sea. So the best example of this is sailors. Sailors use constellations like North Star or Polaris to navigate across ocean in the northern hemisphere, and the Southern Cross used for navigation in southern hemisphere. So in education, constellation maps are used to teach students about the universe and inspire curiosity about space. So an example of this is teachers use constellation map to help students learn about the different stars and their stories. So
Good day everyone, I am Michael Lopez and welcome to Michael's Experiment. So for today's video, we're going to conduct an activity which is related to the topic of the mapping of constellations. So before we begin, let's know what are the materials first. We need a ruler, but since we don't have a ruler, we need to have alternative. So I'm gonna use a long bond paper and I'm gonna make it a long ruler. In making the ruler, we're going to fold it. We know naman, diba, what are we going to do when we don't have a ruler? So we're going to use paper or a bond paper so that we can make a ruler. And then we're going to label it. We're going to label it 1 to 11. So let's start doing this. 2, this would be our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So we're going to label it from 1 to 11. So this could be 1, 2, 3, HAT 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So that's it. So next step, we're going to make a hole between these two, number 6 and number 10. I'm going to use the puncher. So we're going to make a hole in number 2. This is where dili na to siya ma-mark na atong star, no? Para that's why we're going to use a marker later kay dili na to i-mark na to ang star kung mag-measure na ta later, mag-mapping na ta sa atong constellation. Okay, so number 6 next, a hole in number 6, and lastly in number 10. And of course, we're going to make a hole here later part if duha na atong makuhaan. Make sure, I'm sorry. Duha atong buhaton nga ruler para mahimo siyang pantograph. So that's it. So duha na siya mabuhat, and then as you can see na atay gibuhat diri nga hole because we're going to use that as dala na to siya i-lock, of course, para mahimo na siyang pantograph, and then maginani tayo natin later. That's it. So mo na siya ang ato ang buhaton para ma-measure or ma-map nato ang constellation. So next we need to have a piece of paper nga naay nakakuan nga constellation. So ang atong gibuhat diri nga constellation is a Ursa Major, which is the Big Dipper. Mo ni siya ang atong sample to measure constellation. So here is the example according to the picture. So as you can see, kailangan man jud no ang estudyante dapat is nakalayo gid siya sa mismong board. Kay since this is dako man gid dapat. And then this is just an example para naabot siya idea. So as you can see natay star number 1, number 2 and number 3 here. So muna siyang ato ang una nga i-measure. So ato na siyang itunong sa buslot. Dapat gid siya naka 4 to 6 cm, but since gamay ra gid ang ato ang space ani, dili gid nato siya mabuhat. But para alternative lang gid pud siya, ato siyang i-measure. So kanang 1 is nakatungod siya sa number 10. So then ang number 2 as you can see is at the center, and number 3 is natungod pud siya sa pikas nga kaning 10. So mo din na siya atong ibutang sa piece of paper, sa another sheet of paper, then dira nato siya i-label. Okay, so ang atong una i-label is ang kaning star number 1 and number 2. Star number 1 and number 3. Dapat ang star number 1 and number 2 ang ihatch yung distance is 4 to 6 centimeters. So we have here a piece of paper, and then ato siyang i-label tong kanina. So kailangan ang ruler ni mo ay mong pantograph is dili gid dapat siya malihok. Okay, so ato siyang i-ruler. So daman to yung buslot diri sa number 10. Mo ni siya ang purpose sa buslot. That's why gibuslutan ang atong ruler kay dira nato siya ma-measure. So since mao ni siya ang number 2, dito naka-center ang number 2 nato ganina, dira po nato siya shadean. And ang ato pong number 3 nga star is naka-shade po siya sa number 10 nga ruler. And that's it. So ato din na siyang i-label as 1, 2, and 3. So let's proceed. So let's proceed to number 4. So ato siyang i-measure ang number 4. So since this was the number 3 number 3, ato i-measure ang number 3, and then number 4 is at the center. So mo ni siya ang number 4, and then makuha din nato ang iyahang ang ano sa number 5. Just like that. So mo ni siya. So dili nato na siya dapat lihupon kay ato pa na siya i-transfer here. So mo ni siya ang measure sa number 3 actually. Number 3 kanang isa ka buslot. And then, oh my gosh, malihok siya. And here is the number 4 because number 4 is at the center. So, continuous lang din na siya. Taman sa mabuhat na to ang Big Dipper mismo. No? Continuous lang ang ato ang atake here. Continuous lang atong buhaton. So, muna na siya. And we'll label it as number 4 and number 5. So, lastly, let's get the number 6 and 7. So, we have to do this. So since nag-enta sa number 5, so ato itungod ang number 5 dira, and itungod na to ang number 6 diri, and here is the number 7. So let's take a look. So diri ang number 5, and then number 6 is at the center, and number 7 is here. And then we're going to transfer it. So that's it. So this could be our star number 6 and star number 7. So we're going to label it as 6 and 7. So after that, we're going to connect all of it para makuha na nato ang Big Dipper. So from star 1 number to number 2, star 2 to number 3, star 3 to number 4, star number 4 to number 5, star number 5 to number 6, and star number 6 to number 7. So makita din nato ang atong constellation nga gipangita, which is ang Big Dipper or ang Ursa Major. So that's it, everyone. Inana lang ang pagmapping sa atong constellation using this pantograph with the use of the real ruler, and then naatay ka ng dako kayo nga poster dapat ani constellation, and makita din nato ang ato ang pag-measure sa atong map. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope nga naay idea nga na-cope up ani kamay activity, and see you on another episode sa Michael Experiment. Bye!
Mapping constellation reveals the wonders of the night sky. By categorizing constellation and utilizing traditional tools as well as modern software, we can accurately map celestial bodies. Effective mapping techniques aid astronomical research, navigation, and cultural understanding. This activity showcases the significance of constellation mapping in various fields. Understanding constellation fosters appreciation for astronomy and our universe. Therefore, it is important to prioritize constellation mapping. This endeavor expands our knowledge, sparks curiosity, and connects us to the universe's vastness. By exploring constellation, we honor our ancestors' discoveries and pave the way for the future breakthroughs. Understanding the night sky secrets inspires innovation and unity. Ultimately, constellation mapping enriches human understanding and our place within the universe. That's all about mapping the constellation. A huge thank you to all of you for lending your ears to our discussion. We hope you learned something new today. Mabuhay!